the time for you to make a wise decision is almost approaching. The moment you, as a citizen of this country, you are supposed to take responsibility in trying to identify the right candidate for the position of any leadership. As of now, we are assuming that most citizens of this country have now realized the reasons as to why it is important to participate in elections. The moment when each one of us is supposed to identify the leader who is supposed to take us through this our cycle of 5 years in matters to do with economic, social, and political development. Over the time, I have always heard people saying, especially here on the roads, that they have never participated in electing leaders. According to their belief, they assume that electing somebody as a leader is a total waste of time and resources. Let me tell you, my dear brothers and sisters, in those civilized democracies, having an election is one of the most paramount experience that the citizens of those countries don't take lightly. It is only in sub-Saharan countries where majority of us have always been underestimating elections. That is why over the time you have seen some kind of inequities in leadership in most sub-Saharan countries, situations that have degenerated into acrimony and mistrust between the citizens of those respective countries and those that are in leadership. So coming back to this country, Kenya, I think it is the right time. We are supposed to know the essence of participating in elections. That is when, in unison, we shall be able to elect only those people who are competent. I think most of you at some point you may have been forced to think otherwise, that if so and so could have been given an opportunity as a leader in charge of something, then he could have done perfectly well. But the question is, you have not been knowing the essence of participating in elections. So that is why today, at this moment, as I'm addressing you, my dear fellow citizens, let us learn the essence of participating in elections. There is this culture that has become a trend in so many countries, especially in Africa, where majority of citizens only believes that for one to be a leader, he or she must be rich. That is one such a mentality that has always brought havoc within our own countries without knowing. Because most people who have been presumed to be rich in nature have always failed in their capacity to lead people in some leadership positions. So that is one such an important example as to why most countries, especially in Africa, have been lagging behind in terms of economic dispensation. So the time has come when each one of us, regardless of your tribal, political, or social affiliations, is supposed to make a wise decision the moment elections are called on. That is the time we shall exercise our democratic right effectively by identifying and electing only those people who can deliver. So whatever kind of loopholes you may have been seeing happening within our own country, those are purely because of the many mistakes we have always found ourselves committing. We have always seen the emergence of young, energetic, and clever individuals trying to fight for political positions, but only to be overlooked simply because either they have nothing to put on the table. So this is one such a myth that we need to erase out of our brains, so that from now henceforth we have to be able to elect somebody as long as he or she is competent of delivering without trying to evaluate them in terms of riches or richness. So I understand, especially in this our dear country Kenya, as we are approaching 2027, most of us are going to put the tribal matrix aside so that together as a family we can make some wise decisions that can propel this country into those proper position of prosperity, a situation where each and every one of us shall be able to see some goodness of having a good leader. For a number of occasions, I have seen some people go through our masses we had elected, trying to threaten some of our citizens by telling them that when it comes to making decisions, they are only supposed to be spectators. This is the culture, this is the kind of culture that I would wish all of us in unison to bring to an end in this our dear country Kenya. The time has come when each one of us needs to be enlightened. The time when each one of us needs to understand the essence of participating in electing our own leaders. So the handouts that we have always taken out of these people should come to an end, because those are the ones that have necessitated the many tranquilities we may have found ourselves in of recent. So this is the right time for each one of us, regardless of where you come from. Let us put our minds together. Let us identify somebody or people who can deliver. Kenya as a country, especially in Eastern Africa, we are far much ahead. And by now we should have, or we could have been far much ahead in terms of economic, political, and even social dispensation. That is why it is important for us to uphold some of the basic economic, social, and political strategies that were initiated in this country by our forefathers. That is the only surest way of propelling this country to where it deserves. You've seen so many foreigners getting attracted to come to this our dear country Kenya, simply because of the many natural resources and wild animals that we possess in our mining areas and even national parks. These are the people who have been bringing foreign exchange. That is why we have managed as a country to move some steps forward. from where we used to be during those olden days. So as a country, we need to work together with our own leaders, and those that have failed to perform what they are supposed to do, you are free to let them know that whatever that they are doing does not bring any form of fruits, especially in terms of economic growth for this our dear country, Kenya. So ours is to make sure that by all means, let us try to engage ourselves in the business of doing the right things at the right time. So the culture where we used to elect leaders depending on tribal lines, those ones for now I think they have been overtaken by events. This is a new country with a new culture that has already been instilled in the minds of many Kenyans, especially the youth. You know, initially the youth, most of them, they never knew the essence of participating in elections. But as I'm speaking right now, we are fortunate for the first time in the history of this country that even the younger generation have seen the essence of participating in elections, meaning that coming 2027, we are going to see some drastic changes in our electioneering period, because those individuals who have always failed to participate in electing leaders have now come to their realization that that is something important, that they too are supposed to participate. So that is why I am saying that it is of great essence for each one of us, having come that far. Another thing that I would end up by saying is a special appeal to those that we had elected last time as our leaders. Those some of you who have done wonderfully well in your positions as leaders, but then there are a few of you who in one way or the other have failed the people who might have elected them into office. So my kind advice is the time for you to adjust yourself is now. You see, 2027 is almost approaching. Most Kenyans, as I'm speaking to you, they are not happy of what you people have been doing. So this is the right time for you to buy or to instill confidence within Kenyans, so that coming 2027 they may reconsider giving you another more chance to lead them as a leader. That is what each one of us expects out of you. There are so many issues that you've seen Kenyans talking about presently. You as leaders, you are supposed to help or to come to their rescue by trying to address some of those issues that have been raised by Kenyans from around the corners or the boundaries of this country, Kenya. That is the only way or moment each and every citizen of this country shall be happy with their own country.